Just finished lunch. The weird thing about live streams is people come in when it's live. And so if I start talking immediately, then they miss it. But then the replay happens, and if I don't talk for a while, then you're in the replay fast forwarding going, what the fuck do I do? Oh, dang it, I said that F word right away. No, this one's getting demonetized. YouTube doesn't like it if you drop F-bombs in 30 seconds. I think you've heard me say that before. So I'm here at Tier 1 in the tire storage area, which is also where the dyno is located. I think it was dyno first, tire storage area second. Mostly my fault, actually, because that's it, and that's it, and that's it, and mine, and that one's Chase's, and that's somebody's, and that one is ours. And mine too. No, those are mine. But those are. Oh, those are Garris's. Oh, those are mine. Right there. That's mine too. And below it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 sets of tires in here. It only blocks the airflow a little bit, right? The exhaust. My super fancy air plenum that I cut in there very evenly, as you can see. A good year. Or a great year, I should say. I don't know. Is it really that good if you're using rubbers? It might not have been that good in the first place. It's a long work week. Oh, wait. So, no kids is best. Yeah, and no little bumpies and sores, right? No bumpies or sores on the parts. Those are best too. So today I was supposed to tune a car, and unfortunately for the gentleman who had the car, he had a cam failure. And by cam failure, I don't mean like snap in half. I mean that the lobe. Well, I'm assuming. I haven't seen inside his engine, but judging by the sound, and I've heard it many times before, it seems like the lobe wiped on the cam. At least one lobe wiped on the cam. So why does that happen? Well, a bunch of years ago, I think it was 2011 or 12. It could have even been 13. I don't know. It was a while ago. I made a post on Naziok. Remember Naziok? It was a forum. Remember forums? That was a thing that used to exist a long time ago. And Naziok was the biggest Subaru one. It still is technically, right? The biggest forum for Subarus. And I posted on Naziok, said, stop buying Kelford and GSC cams because they're failing. And in my post, it was a long initial post. I had data, I had break-in procedures that we had tried, I had lubricants that we had tried for both the engine and the camshaft, like assembly lubes. I went through all the stuff that we had done and how we'd done differently and how the result in the end was always the same. And then I proposed what I thought were potential reasons for this happening. The cam manufacturer, parts of the cam manufacturer could be causing it, potential engine issues that would cause it, and a bunch of things. And I thought it was a good initial post. And in the end, I was like, something's fucking wrong. So the cam manufacturers aren't taking it seriously. Stop buying cams so that we'll make them take it seriously. And I got shit on most of the community. A handful of shops that had been dealing with the same shit that we were dealing with piped in and said, yeah, man, there's a problem, and backed me up a bit. And those guys I was very appreciative of. But there were a lot of shops that took the opportunity to say that it was the fault of MPS. They took the opportunity to bash me in an effort to make themselves look better and say, oh, well, we've never had a problem. We never had a problem. And many of those shops, very shortly after that, had a problem. And some of them stood up and said, hey, man, I'm sorry. you were right and I was wrong. And I respect the shit out of that when people do that. And some of those guys are good friends of mine now. And so I'm always appreciative when someone has the courage to say, I'm sorry and I was wrong. Owning up for your mistakes is like the biggest thing in my book. So, anyways, about a year and a half after I made the post, I figured it out. And I didn't tell anybody. Because fuck them, right? I mean, they all gave me a extremely hard time, talked shit about me, said I didn't know what I was doing. Even the cam manufacturers came in and defended themselves and said it was my fault. And then they had to say that, oh, well, it's also those other 5 shops' fault. And then they had to just excuse themselves because it became apparent that it wasn't all the shop's fault. Now, what is it really? Well, it's none of your fucking business. I'm not going to tell you. But I will tell you that I did address the issue in making my cams. I will tell you that the problem is oil retention. The problem is that it takes a long time to get oil to the cam. And a lot of the manufacturers had cam profiles that were pushing oil off of the cam lobe and bucket. They also were cutting, and still are cutting, the cams too close to the middle of the bucket. So if you look at the factory setup in almost any flat tappet style cam system anywhere, the lobe is off center from the bucket or the lifter or whatever it is that rides on. And that's intentional. And the reason is that you want that bucket or lifter to rotate. When it rotates, as the cam is riding on it, right, that it comes out, it gets fresh oil. And it spreads the load around the whole surface of the bucket. If you had this big bucket or lifter and you used this much of it and it was only in the very center, then what's the point of having something this big? The only point of having something this big would be to handle loads as it moves in the bore. The only purpose of having something that large. But if you have that surface area there, share the load. And so it's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to rotate in their bore as they're going up and down, right? And it's supposed to keep the surface lubricated and all kinds of stuff. Well, the manufacturers of these aftermarket cams were making the lobe fatter, and they were making it fatter towards the middle, which then centered the lobe over the valve and the bucket and stopped it from rotating enough. It rotated some. But what would happen is it didn't rotate initially. It would run the middle, and then something would wear on it, and then it would get drag, and then it would start rotating the bucket, and then it would start cutting into the bucket as it was as the drag was coming through and tear the bucket out of the head. So the manufacturers were going, well, look, we can see it's rotating, but the problem was that they weren't identifying that it was rotating because the failure was occurring, not rotating because it was off center too much. And also, the closer you go to the center, the slower it's going to rotate. So the manufacturers made some small tweaks to their cams. They moved them out a little bit. They narrowed the lobes up a little bit. They adjusted the profile so that it didn't smack really hard on the bucket and displace oil a lot. They did some things, and the cam failure rate went down. But it isn't zero. It is still a problem. And unfortunately, guys like the gentleman that came today for his tune is a victim of it. And it's something he did wrong. It's not like he installed it incorrectly. I mean, he could have, I suppose, right? But I'm doubtful, right? So I spent some time to explain to him a little bit of the failure and then to show him what I do to address that. So then people know that my custom cams come with a bunch of stuff post grind to address those issues. So I got 2 questions I'm going to address really quick. One said, what happened to the car? Mason asked what happened to the car. Just joining. So the car showed up and the engine was really, really loud. And I spent some time listening to it. I first thought maybe it was a bearing. But as I listened to it, I realized it had to be, most likely it's going to be the camshaft lobe wiped on the cam and damage the bucket and all of that. Now, how do I know that, right? I didn't look in the car, but how do I know that? And just to say like, well, I've heard the noise before, that's kind of a bullshit answer. So I'm going to share with you the mental process of diagnosing that, since you asked. All right. So first off, I have a metallic tapping sound. Now, typical tapping sounds are going to be rod bearings, injectors tap a lot, cam lash is very tappy, right? But it was loud, and it was sharp, and it was slightly higher pitched than say piston slap, which can have a tapping sound as well to it. So there's that. It was with engine RPM consistently. It was the same on acceleration as deceleration. So as I'm revving up and revving down, the frequency did not change. And that's a key thing. With a rod bearing, when you go up, the frequency drops to half, and you go down, then, well, or either way you can say it, right? When it decelerates and comes down off a rev, a rod bearing frequency doubles. And that is because the loading on the rod bearing, if you think about it, when I'm accelerating, the crankshaft pulls down on the rod. So I'm loading the bottom bearing shell in the rod. But then it comes around and I'm compressing during the compression stroke, right? So I'm the top bearing shell. Then combustion forces the rod back down again, right? Which is again top bearing shell. And then I'm pushing out the exhaust, which is again the top bearing shell. So when I have combustion, I'm accelerating the engine. It's upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, lower on the 4 strokes, right? Now, if I free rev it or I let off the throttle, what happens? Well, on the induction stroke, the piston's pulling down, so bottom shell. And then the compression stroke, it's compressing a little bit, right? So upper shell. Then the combustion stroke has very little combustion, if any at all. And if it's decel during fuel cut, there's no combustion. So the rod isn't pulling the piston back down again. And then it has to push out for the exhaust again. So it goes upper, lower, right? And so you get knock, 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 no, 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 knock, 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 no, 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 no. That's almost always going to be a rod bearing. This didn't do that. This was knock, 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 the whole way. So I knew that it wasn't going to be something that was affected by compressive forces in the cylinder, because it was absent of any effects of the cylinder pressure. Then listening to it, obviously, it sounded like it was further towards the head. Definitely sounded like it was a head-borne noise. And then the springy, it's got like a springy resonance to it, which I believe is carried by the valve spring during the issue, because it has this weird resonance as it clicks. And so that's what, and I've heard it 100 times. So I think that I'm pretty certain that he has a cam lobe that wiped and has eaten the bucket up and that kind of stuff. But it could be something else. It could be that the bucket is sticking in the bore or something funky, or really, really bad valve lash, which I'd be surprised, because the head on the other side sounded pretty quiet. So why does it happen? Well, again, each cam manufacturer has a slightly different cut cam. They have different profiles. They have different offsets and all of that. But the older ones, the problem was the lobe was too wide. It was too close to the middle. It was cut too aggressively. And the EJ is slow to get oil up there. It does not get a lot of oil to the head on post-start. So you can, I think it was Howard, I think at AR Fab, did it. He pulled the valve covers off on a fresh motor, fired it up, and oil didn't squirt out the top of the heads for almost a minute. That's a fucking issue, right? So if you're not getting oil pulling up out of the head, it's come flying out the top of the head for a minute, that means that your assembly lube isn't doing anything. So it makes it very difficult to break in a cam if the first minute of this cam's life it has no lubricant, right? So, we got 15 seconds of grease and then nothing after that. That's a problem. So I addressed all of that by adding forced oiling to the cam lobe. By feeding oil to the cam lobe via the AVCS system, then the AVCS is at idle. It runs at 9.83%, or it's basically 10% at idle. So it's always got some oil flowing through the cam gear, through the cam, and out onto the lobes. With my design, on the lobes. Normally, the AVCS is discharged out the side of the cam, just one hole in the side of the cam, and it just goes and does nothing. But I changed it, discharge into the lobes. so that each lobe has a fresh supply of oil coming from the engine at all times that it's running. And that's just at idle is 10%. As soon as you give it some throttle and it tries to advance, the ECU immediately goes to 50% on the AVCS solenoid, which means a butt whack more oil immediately comes out and lubricates the cams, which is good because that's when RPMs are increasing. It's when our duty cycle is increasing and our load is going to be increasing. So it gives it a burst of oil right there. So since I started doing that, and also I treat the lobe, how I do that is my secret, so deal with it. But I do a treatment on the lobe that aids in two things. It reduces the amount of oil that the lobe scrapes off the bucket when it comes by as the bucket's spinning and it's rotating. If you think about that, the cam is spinning, but the bucket's rotating, right? So I have this vector. I have the bucket coming this way and the cam coming this way. So there's a little bit of a cross action between the two of them. My treatment focuses on minimizing the amount of oil that's peeled off of the bucket during that action and during camshaft deflection, because the camshafts are going to bend a little bit. They move. They're freaking steel. And there's two lobes 90 degrees apart on it. It doesn't see an even force around it. It sees two sideward forces and then nothing, and then nothing. And so the cam starts to bend a little bit in a direction. So those lobes no longer sit perfectly square the buckets anymore. So what I do, the lobe focus on allowing that slight misalignment and flex to not scrape the oil out the bucket. And since I started doing that in late 2013, early 2014, I have had 0 cam failures. 0. So I would say that you should send me your cams. I'll do the treatment. I'll do the cutting. If it's a AVCS cam, I can do the redirect, which forces oil to the lobes. If it's not AVCS cam, I cannot. There's no way to do it. No way that I would like to do it. Some people want me to do it from the bearing journal, but then I'm taking oil from the bearing. And as it is, that bearing is not large enough for the load, and it does not get very much oil. And they're the first thing to score up and get messed up inside the heads and the cam. So I will not steal oil from the bearing. But from the discharge of the AVCS, that's wasted oil. And so I utilize that, and it's done a lot. And so does the treatment. The treatment was the biggest step. The treatment made the biggest difference. And so I sell that service. So I do it in batches. So every so many sets that people send me, when I get 3 sets, then I will do the whole drilling for the AVCS and all that. If you just want the lobe treatment, then I can do that whenever. But if I'm running the CNC, I'm getting 3 sets on the machine. Otherwise, it becomes more costly than I could charge, because the machine time and the setup time and all that stuff is, and tooling and all that stuff is expensive. But if you're running aftermarket cams and you haven't put them in yet, you should buy this service from me, because it makes a difference. I pulled the cams out of a car that had 5,000 miles on it. It was banging almost 600 wheel, and they looked amazing. They actually were the best looking cams I've ever seen come out of a Subaru, besides the factories. So it definitely works, and like I said, no failures ever since I started doing it. And there's been a lot of engines that have these that have my treatment, done to them. So it's really good. And then so there was another question. That's my palm. What do you think of free valve technology? Free valve technology is great. Camshafts are a means to an end, really, right? But the best way to do it is not with a camshaft. What's up, buddy? Ginger Tuned? Is that Travis, or what's Ginger Tuned? Who's that? What's up, partner?
I don't know. I thought, were you recording something?
Yeah, I'm just live on YouTube.
Oh, I just need to move that white STI so I can get my truck turned around and unload a bunch of mud.
Oh, yeah.
Not an emergency, but just, yeah. I don't
The one
know.
behind me.
Behind the Beamer.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. Just because my look at the truck is so long, I'll be able to get anywhere. I already used my map.
Free valve. So cams. Okay, so one thing I said today to a guy. Yeah, okay, cool. I spent some time with Travis. Travis is a friend of mine, been a friend of mine since 2006 or 7. He took my tuning class, actually, but whatever. That doesn't mean he's any good. He probably sucks. He's probably watching right now. No, Travis is good. And he cares. It's hard to find tuners and shops that truly, genuinely care about the customer and their experience and their work. So, patient man, what, for me? Sucking up information, man. Okay, so free valve. Okay, so I said this to the guy today, actually, that had the issue with the cam. I said, look, when it comes to cars, right, there's no free lunch, right? Everything that you do is going to be is always a balance of compromises, right? And I've talked about before the importance of balance in the engine, right? Having everything target the same power bands, or be designed with the same thing in mind. So, like, I had a customer email me the other day, very mismatched build, like huge turbo with tiny cams and a gigantic turbine housing, but huge injectors and normal size head studs, and yeah, like it was just like it all matched. Part of it was set for 600 wheel, part of it was set for 300 wheel, part of it was set for. It was just a very mismatched setup, and I told him, like, look, I don't want to tune that dude. That shit's jank. Like, it's all fucking whack, man. So, and the reason is because there's no free lunch. There's very few things that you can do that provide you gains everywhere. In the aftermarket. Now, obviously, there are certain emissions type things that you can get rid of that give you gains everywhere. That exists, right? If you're blocking off airflow or changing the quality of the air going into the engine, reducing the quality of the air, that obviously is going to improve no matter where you're at. But aside from that, when I'm doing internals, for example, and I'm doing compression ratio, I'm doing rod length, I'm doing camshaft profiles, right? Everything is one compromise for a different benefit. There's very few things that are free. And camshaft profile is one of the biggest ones. When you design a camshaft and it's gonna be for high horsepower, high RPM, it's a big fucking cam. But you know what? Your gas mileage is probably gonna suck. Although being said that, guys, when I drove my Vet here with the new setup in it, the other day, before I took it home and fucked it up, I was getting 29 on the highway the whole way here and back. Nice. So still had good economy. Surprised. I mean, it was at 1100 RPM at 70 miles an hour, so it was just blah 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 the whole way. Yeah. So my custom cam for the LS actually had pretty good mileage or economy. So there's always a compromise, unless of course I design it and there's no compromise. I'm just kidding. That's yeah. So there's always a compromise somewhere. So if I want a cam that gets good fuel economy, it's going to be a small cam with 470. Like I'm talking V8 stuff here, not Subaru stuff. It's going to be a small cam, say 475 lift, 208 degrees of duration, an LSA of like 119 degrees. The valve events are going to happen. Intake centerline is going to be a little on the late side to reduce, too much overlap, although you could make it early and then just change the exhaust center line to be wider so that you get blowdown and stuff, but not too much overlap, right? So like you can do things to improve the economy, but when I go to get on it, it's not going to make the most torque horsepower because I had this economy grind on it. Or I can go, with a grind that's good for forced induction. I mean, all cams are good turbo cams, right? That's what Richard Holner says. And he's right to some degree. Every cam is a good cam for forced induction. But you can change the cam to get gains in an area or not get gains. It's always your power curve is shaped by the cam, and then the force induction like picks it up, or whatever, typically. So there's always something. Now with free valve, that doesn't exist. With free valve, my cam is variable, infinitely variable. It's infinitely variable for height within the ranges of that the valve can open, for timing, for ramp rate, for overlap. Like everything is completely programmable, and that's as good as it fucking gets. Really, I think the only way it could be any better than that would be to eliminate the valves altogether and just have the whole top of the combustion chamber pop off and then close. Like a big disc or something, right? Because while there's still valves there, that means there's still restriction and in the system. So, but as far as for valve control, there's nothing better than that. I can open one valve instead of 4 valves. I can or 2 valves for the intake, for example. I can at low end only use one of my intake valves, maximize swirl in the combustion chamber, even move that port a little bit to give it a swirling effect and have that be my primary, valve, small port if I want, in a small valve or whatever, so that cylinder is the most vortex that you can get, which is also the source of the vortex head for Chevy. And the cathedral heads have like 1.6 degrees of rotation in the cylinder on the intake charge and that kind of shit. And so when Chevy did the vortex stuff, they discovered how much swirl makes a big difference in fuel economy and power and torque and all of that. So I can have it use just one port. No, I'm not. Someone asked about it. So I can do just one port. And then when I want to make power, I can have another port that's short and fat with a big ass valve. And I can open both intake valves at the same time. So you can do whatever you want. Or you have both of the ports the same, run one, open the valve this far. Like you can do open the valve this far. You can do whatever you want within the range of the controller. And even open the valve multiple times if you so needed to. Right? There are things that you can do with free valves you can never do with a camshaft. And that is really awesome. You can make it almost operate on 2 strokes if you wanted. So you can definitely do a 2-stroke diesel very easily. Did you have to pay to lease that tech? I'm not doing it. Like it's not me. I'm not doing free valve stuff. I'm talking about free valve stuff because somebody asked about it. And no, I mean that one dude, he didn't lease it. The guy, you guys in the YouTube channel where the guy's like, I put free valve on a Miata or something like that. Yeah, Wesley Kagan, that's what it was. That dude's pretty smart. He looks like he's from Athol. Yeah. He looks like this guy, like he's from Athol, Idaho, but he's actually pretty smart. Unlike this guy there from Athol, Idaho. Yeah. He's like, I felt it coming. It was like a backhand. I saw you warming it up before you hit me with it. Lane's good. I like Lane. Yeah. Fuck you guys both. You both know I do. I wouldn't give you a hard time if I didn't like you. I just fucking walk away from you. I just look at you. No, I'm gonna do that. Can make your life miserable if I fired you.
That'd be like an easy way out.
No, man. I like having you as my fabricator. Well, yeah, a little bit of that. I mean, you did a little bit with that center bolt thing, but.
Hey, it's fine.
It's my job to worry about it. Yeah, so free valve's a shit. It's really awesome. I don't have it. Obviously, I don't have it. I don't have the programming skills to write the programs like that guy did. I could totally spec out valve events and how I would want it to behave and set variable parameters and do some basic logic for the free valve stuff, but I don't have I think you use like an Arduino thing. I don't know shit about Arduino stuff or Raspberry Pi or where the fuck the stuff is. He used to run it. I don't know anything about that stuff. I wish I did. I wish I knew more about programming, actual coding than I do, but I don't know enough about it. So I can never do that on my own. I would need somebody's help for that. But for designing designing the operational parameters, I could absolutely be part of that. Definitely part of that. And being creative about ways to actuate things or monitor, detect, blah, 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 blah. You know, I can do all that stuff. So, yes, that's correct. And they bought the initial design from somebody else. Koenigsegg didn't start the free valve thing. That was somebody else. I can't remember who the hell it was. Who started the free valve? It wasn't Koenigsegg. Because they bought the initial design from the company and then they expanded on it. I cannot remember what the initial company was. It was a 3-letter name. Somebody, yeah. So they didn't start it. It wasn't their idea. They just went, oh, we can make this work. Bought the technology and then grew with it quite a bit. Which might be why Wesley's been getting away with saying free valve. I don't know, but he did say Koenigsegg free valve. Yeah, or the dude's cool. I mean, like Elon, right? Elon Musk, he put all of his patents on his website and said, "You are free to use all of my patented shit." You know, in the efforts of, everyone. Yeah, and the world, right? Yeah, Volvos and Saabs. I think they actually put a Saab. Right? It wasn't a Volvo, right? It was a Saab that they put the free valve on originally. I don't think it was a Volvo. But yeah, he might be cool. I don't know. Christian, is his name?
Yeah, Christian Vaughn.
Christian Von Koenigsegg, whatever. Yeah. I want to say about that. I don't remember now. So yeah, that's cool shit. I wish we had that technology. I wish it was, dude. I wish it was more easily attainable and more reliable. Right. I guess that's the issue. Although Koenigsegg now has been having their stuff really good for a long time. But initially, when they first started doing it, the problem was keeping the system functioning properly, handling the loads and duty cycles and that kind of stuff, as well as the accuracy. But they pretty much got that down now. Yeah, he bought the company that initially started it. Correct. Yeah. Okay, so that being said, I did say that I like having Lane as my fabricator. And that's nothing bad about Garrus. I love Garrus. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. And if you hear us, I love you, buddy. Miss you. But Lane says no less, Garrus. If you're there, Lane says no less.
Yeah.
So when I say I want to do this, he's not like, well, it's gonna be. He's like, yeah, let's fucking give it a shot. So I like that, and that works with me really well. And so I like having him here for that reason. And so I have crazy ideas, and he says, sure, let's try that. And then it works or does not work, and it's good. So.
Knowing is better than not.
Okay, can I show our your header in progress?
Yeah.
So we're doing a low mount setup for Mike's car.
One of them was quarter and one of them was 7.
So this is the start of it. So low mount turbo front EJ goes right in the front. Fits right in the front of it.
Bring it over
It's just
now.
tacked. Oh, you got a block for you? I was gonna say there's no block. I'm still hovering with it.
Yeah, we don't have engines here.
No engines. Well, mine's already got one on it. All 3 of my engines have exhaust. Wait, that one might not. Oh, that one doesn't. Well, it won't clear the pan though.
Oh man.
There's a pan on that one.
That sucks.
And a pan on that one.
Yep. Pan on all of them.
There's a pan on all of them. Yeah.
Well, either way, you can put it on the table.
I wonder if it'll fit in the FA. Is the header bolted on it or sitting on it?
Oh, nice.
Mine, I'm kind of curious now.
I think the center bolt is off by like a quarter inch or something stupid like that. I think I've tried to do something similar.
Yeah, because it's stuck on one. Yeah, it's off to the front and the back. Does this fit the big flange? No, it's not a big flange. Okay. That's all right. Whatever. Fuck it.
Well, this is some good stuff right here.
The clearance?
Yeah.
That's probably why it's still sitting there.
No, it won't.
Yeah, we'll go back. Is it the right pan?
Yeah.
What header is that?
It was the only after this Is it a killer B header? I think it's killer B header.
Perrin? Probably Perrin.
I thought Chase said it was a killer B header. It has a nice casting, so I don't think Perrin would do that.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. That's what you're
I
saying.
think they would just hack
But
some.
why does it not fit? More killer bee shit?
No, it fits here. Like that's all where
Yeah.
it should be.
But like it's not even down the head all the way.
Yeah.
It's right there.
I don't know what. Maybe it's just a manufacturing defect.
Yeah. Is this the header that we had that didn't fit that we were supposed to send back? We never sent back? Oh.
Sure is.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna.
Massage?
Yeah.
I'm gonna modify it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I was confused. I thought something shitty was going on. Here's one of my LSs I got. It's a billet crank in this bitch. Ooh, pretty. It was almost done. Nick was putting it together for me on the very last bolt to finish this short block. The very last fucking bolt that he was putting in, it galled. Last fucking bolt stripped out and galled. Can you believe that shit? It's my luck, right? All right, so I need something to put this on. Anyways, here we go. This will work. So here's the header. It's a low mount. It's for an EJ, not for an FA because fuck the FA. It's for an EJ. It's part of my dry sump system as well. So this is being done and put in this location because the oil pan would normally be right here, right? Well, no more oil pan because it's gonna be a dry sump with a plate and some stuff on it. So this will. This goes on Mike's car. So the turbo. Oh yeah, the fucked up one. That's an FA. Correct. The one that's messed up back there. Yeah, the block that didn't fit. That was an FA. It was a Killer Bee one that we did like 2 years ago or something, and they dorked it up, and then they replaced it. They didn't give us a return tag for it. I don't know if they fucking wanted it or not. So it's just been sitting on the shelf forever. The 3D print turbo housings. Oh, sure, yeah, the metal, direct metal laser sintering, 3D printing for iron or Inconel or whatever. Stainless is really awesome. I did a whole thing on that when I was in college. What about better axle options than just DSS? Yeah, I'm not a big DSS fan. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've had tons of issues with my DSS products. Every time I get one, it's like, well, I've said this before on multiple occasions that if a manufacturer is gonna make something incorrectly, they're gonna do it and then it's gonna get sent to me. That's just my luck. That's just the way that that my cookie crumbles. That's just how it goes for me. So it's just part of. It's my burden. That's just, I have to deal with that. So I just have had really bad luck with DSS. I don't know who else is out there for axle options for Subaru and shit. I honestly don't know. The factory ones are so damn strong that I've had good luck personally just sticking with the factory ones. And I had guys that can do 9s on the factory ones without breaking them. So it's really all about what clutch you're using, flywheel, and how you shift, how you drive, as to whether or not you need them or not. Oh, my fucking thing is here still. Look at that. There it is. Those DOMs are right on it. Perfect. I thought that was gone. Let's see. More comments about that. The one on the stand back there was an FAWRX. But the one we're doing for EJ for that car. See, there's no front. That one there is getting the low mount. Oh, there's an engine in it. I should fucking push this out of the way. Oh, there's one to go. Go, gadget old. Yeah. Where is it? How far am I going? Oh, I got another 1.5 feet. What are you talking about? I just want to hold the header under Libby's car, and it's right here. Oh, you moved it. Ooh, slow down, dude. There's speed limits in this place. Jesus. Yeah.
I'll give you a hand.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That might have their own oil pump on it.
Looks good. Looks like it's all right.
Oh, okay.
Well, one of these heads has been machined a bunch and one has not.
No, it has no head gaskets in it.
It has what?
It has no head gaskets in it. Ah.
Oh, the one here right now doesn't?
Yep.
Oh, gotcha.
It's just a trash block that I found on the ground and then a set of trash heads.
Oh, you should have found some old head gaskets to throw on it.
Yeah.
I have a set right there.
Well, I think I'll take it out.
That's why I did all this on that
on the
block
other,
over
on the
there.
other engine. It had head gaskets in it.
Yep. That one not going up?
No.
No, I mean head gaskets are almost 50. Oh, look at that. You're so strong.
Yeah.
Can I feel them? Can I feel them?
Sure can. I didn't want to break his.
Sure can. Feel how soft that is?
Yeah. It's like a big pillow.
It's like one of those memory foam pillows that has some density, but
It feels like a bag of sand.
It's like 2 big bags of sand.
So where's that?
Can we see inside? We can't see inside.
A little 10 mil.
That's good. That's just showing it.
Yeah. So that's just a little extra support. Look at that.
Oh, I like it.
Look at that.
I do.
Don't even have to force it.
Dude, sit right over your arm.
Huh? Yeah.
Sit right over your arm.
Everyone at the gas station says
a little baby rock crawler.
So you can see no room for oil pan, right? That's where the dry sump comes in.
Actually, we could make an oil pan work.
You technically could, yeah.
You could.
We really could. Yeah, it'd be really tight right here at the oil suction, but we could definitely make one.
Yeah, 100% could make one.
Yeah, maybe we should do that too, so that we can market a kit like this.
Well, you could actually do like a FA does and do a billet adapter
Right.
onto the sucker over
Yeah.
here, and then just have a drop hanger with a screen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
could totally
abilities.
design one, and it would just O-ring on, come in, come out, and
Yeah.
maybe cast it. You could cast it
We could do
because then I can put whatever tube
You could just
shape I
do-
want in it. And I can drill it.
Oh, that's true.
Right,
Yeah,
I can have nice smooth bends.
that's true. Yeah, no, 100%.
It would cost probably $6,000 in tooling, and then but they'd only be like $35 a piece once they get made. Then you gotta roll $6,000 into the first 100 of them, and then also they become a couple $100. But anyways, that's where the turbo's gonna sit. Bloop,
Where did
right
it go?
here. That's over it's over on the table.
I
So
don't wanna touch it with my hand.
Oh.
I try to not touch it with gross hands. Just so I don't have to clean it later.
I stepped on a wasp nest.
I tell them everything you say.
And that's the 1050?
Gotta go like A.
Other way?
Oh, yeah.
Like A.
Right there.
Look at
G35 1050. There it goes.
We have
The 101 AR.
Is that the 101?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Because our cute little 82s aren't going to work for this thing.
Look at the clearance though. Look from under here.
Uh-huh. Oh, under the car?
Yeah.
Plenty of room. It's
Look at
way
that.
higher than the freaking skid plate and everything.
It was way higher than an FA turbo by like a solid 3 inches.
Yeah. Yeah, what, 3 inches?
Yeah.
All right.
About, yep.
Because this is 9, right? To tell the wife.
That's what she says.
That's what I tell her, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's up there. And BRZ radiator fits.
Yeah, so we use the
All
BRZ
up in
radiator
there.
in front of it. Gets up inside further.
I gotta finish notching the top of that cross member, but it just about fits.
Sweet.
If it was 3/4 of an inch narrower, it would fit perfect.
And then the downpipe will just go where the uppipe normally goes. And out the side, out the fender.
Oh, look at that guy.
Oh, dude, fuckboy mode. Was that Igor?
Might be.
Was it?
I don't know. Also, I think this part and
Is it?
yeah.
The swapped RS is done? This is the old MPS RS. It's the one that we had that I found for Craig. It was Igor? Is he coming in? Yeah, he asked me, is it supposed to backfire this much? I go, oh yeah, that's right. That's a tune for my vet. I had it set up to be a fuckboy car.
Does that sound good? I think it sounds awesome.
burning.
You ever heard of Red Woman on Stocking List?
Yeah. Now that all the rods are bent. Yeah, Igor was like doubtful that it was going to sound good. And I was like, no, dude, we'll put that exhaust on, throw those 2 resonators, it's going to sound great. And then he's like, I love it.
After we did it,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna take it out. I want to hear it. Like he wanted to hear it from the outside. He's like, make sure you rip on it so I can hear it. So I took it down, slid it out that corner, slid it out there, slid it in the cul-de-sac, went down there, slid it down to the cul-de-sac, came back, and he couldn't have had a bigger smile on his face. He was loving it.
It's good. He says thumbs up. Yeah, I said, now that all the rods are bent.
It's low compression for a turbo stuff.
That's right. It's easy to add boost. Yeah, I didn't realize it was backfiring that much.
It's a lot.
Because I have mufflers and cats on mine, so it was just on my bed. It's quiet pops. Pop, 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 pop. Yeah, yours is a lot of shit, but yours is straight pipes, right? So,
Kinda.
well, yeah, with resonators, no cats, right?
There's two resonators in it.
Gotcha.
So the Eagles have no cats.
It is 100 cats. Who'd you get to tune that for you? Wasn't me. Let's see. What was I saying? Anyways, the low mount turbo setup. This is this car was a major catalyst for why we're doing the dry sump when I am. You know, I was always going to do one, but it was a little earlier than I planned on doing. But that's why, if you were curious. Let's go where the AC pump is. AC pump. What else? This is the engine out of the red car. You guys may have saw that disaster video. So that's going to come apart. Oh, it's actually got the dry sump pulley on it. I test fitted on this guy. It's fine, lasts a long time. So this pulley will go on that car. But not this belt. This is a test belt. Same type belt, though. Right now, the 6-cylinder's in this, but it's coming out. This is my RS. In case you didn't recognize it. So, it's coming out to go in my other car. In one of my other Subarus, it has a cage and shit in it. So, I'm going back to a 4-cylinder in this with a compound charging. We're going to use the G35 900 and the VF with the G25 550 hybrid wheels in it that Pavel, you guys have seen Pavel engines or whatever do, post about it on Facebook and Naziok. I have one of those turbos combined with the P20 turbine housing. The new guys won't really know what that is, but the older guys who've been doing Supers for a long time know what P18 and P20 means. Shut up.
My small block Chevy had a P-trim wheel on it.
What?
My small block Chevy that I turbo,
Uh-huh.
it had a P-trim gear on it. Like
No. I'm saying the P18 and 20 in the turbine housing for Subarus.
I'm talking about the old turbine wheel.
No. I'm talking about these guys. So the VF in Japan and JDM land came with an optional P20. Not optional. I should say that. That's it. Wrong way of saying it. Some of the VFs came with a 20. Some came with an 18. All the US ones are 20s. So this company, Mamba Turbotech, or whatever they call themselves, they make P20 housings that you can bolt them on your VF. So I said, well, I'm increasing flow, both turbine and compressor flow. I'm going to put a P20 housing on it and see how much poop this turbo can make with that. Because I feel like the increase in flow rate of the compressor is already more than the 18 can handle. I think in factory trim, the P18 is already too small for the VF39s, 43s, 48s, 54s, 52s, etc. So no, it's a GT30. Gen 2 3071. So I think these are potentially a better fit for the VFs in the first place. So I do want to try one on a regular VF as well. I know back in the old days, before most of you guys had your licenses, we would put 20 housings on other turbos and get good sized gains out of them. So I don't know. I'm curious how this is going to do. So I bought this with the hybrid, and we're going to run that on the red car first, and then we're going to put it in the compound setup on my white car. So I heard someone say, "Pay Dom." I like the sound of that. What are you paying me for? You're live on YouTube.
Igor's trying to make me move forward with making the Corvette fast.
Your Corvette.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I said, he said, let's do it this weekend. And I said, well, I got to pay Dom, and then we got to tear it apart for 4 days or however long it's going to take. 1 day. He's overly ambitious. I don't want to strip a bunch of bolts and break a bunch of shit. So it's going to be 3 to 4 days. Look at you, listen at the camera. He's like, let's see this.
I didn't break anything.
He's like, don't tell everyone that. I don't know.
Hey, Chase, just like you said.
Yeah, right?
There you go. Like, wait.
If we get 5 people on Dom's YouTube to comment saying they want to see a supercharged Fat, then maybe we'll do it.
5?
And they gotta,
5.
he's got to gain
5,000.
10 subscribers in 24 hours. That's the challenge. If he can get 10
Well,
subscribers.
no supercharger for your vet.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I got it.
Because everyone that's in here are already subscribers, so they're not.
They got to tell their friends. If they get 10, if you get 10 more subscribers, we'll make it happen. And no fake accounts. I don't want to see 10 Igors pop up on there. We got followed by Igor 1, 2, 3.
Igor, Igor, Igori, Igor. Hey, there's all these different spellings. Yeah. So
There's batteries in the truck.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
I was trying to look for a battery.
Oh.
There's not a labeled MPS battery. What the hell's going on?
Yeah. My bad.
Figured out why there isn't one.
Yeah, guys, perfect business.
Let's see.
You get drunk.
Yeah, Paul, you missed that part. So is dry sump required an AC delete? So yeah, so my dry sump goes where the AC goes, so it'll be AC delete for sure.
Yeah?
Um,
Where?
yeah, my drums. God damn it, phone. My dry sump will be deleting the AC. I mean, how many track cars are gonna have AC on them anyways? How many cars with R comps hitting the track that need a dry sump? I mean, usually if you have a dry sump, you got a big ass oil tank somewhere and big lines, and you're stinking like oil vapors and all kinds of shit. Like a dry sump isn't just for everybody to daily drive on. It's not, it's not the normal customer with a dry sump, and so therefore I wouldn't bother making one for that. The super oil pump is great. Like there's nothing wrong with the super oil pump. A lot of people think for some reason there is, but there isn't. There's nothing wrong with the oil pump. The oil pump has nothing to do with why they spin bearings. Now the aeration of putting too big of an oil pump on the engine can cause issues, but that's not the problem. The problem is the mains in the car and the relief valve in the oil pump. Those are the two issues. The pump itself is good. The gears flow plenty of oil. There's no lack of oil with the super oil pump. It's a great oil pump. In fact, my dry sump uses the factory super oil pump gears in it. I have two chambers with factory 11 mil gears. And I have a version with a 12 mil too, but I don't need it. 11 mil makes more sense because of the dry sump. I can overdrive it, right? Right now, your 11 mil pump in your STI turns the same speed as the crankshaft. And so with the dry sump, I can put a 37 tooth pulley on the dry sump and turn the 11 mil 10% faster, right? And provide more oil volume if for some reason you actually need it. But you don't. There's no volume issue with the Subaru oil pump. Again, the issue is people putting the wrong pump on the engines, or the fact that the main bearings open like crazy. And then in track scenarios, the problem is drawing air. All the oil sloshes up into the heads. And so if you're a guy who tracks here daily, dry sump's not going to be your option. But I have something for you. I just designed something. It's been in my head for a while. I designed it just this last weekend. I got the initial drawings down. I got to get a few more measurements done, and then I will release it. It is a system that prevents oil from back flushing into the heads under high Gs. So I'll be doing a big video on that when I get to testing the angles that the pans will see, and then proving why my oil system is going to fucking work. And it's relatively simple, but it does require some machining to the block. But aside from that, it's a simple thing. So it's something that you would say you're going to have your block closed deck by IAG. Then you would tell them you want to have this part machined into the deck, and then they would machine the deck out, and then drop this part in, and it goes under the head gasket. So it's pretty cool. That's all I'm going to say about it for right now, until I get the final dimensions done and all of that, and then I'll post them up, and you guys can see the renderings. And then when my machinist gives me the quotes, I can figure out what they're going to cost. But I think it's going to work really good. And so, like I said, for guys that daily their shit and they want to do track days and they want to keep their AC, this is going to be an excellent solution. And then lastly, maybe eventually I'll consider designing a low mount dry sump, but I don't really, because my dry sump won't fit in a low mount situation because I'm using the factory style gears. The factory style gears are extremely efficient. They use less horsepower to turn. They shear the oil less. They aerate the oil less. They just overall are a better design than the spur gear oil drive gears that everybody uses in their dry sumps, which is why I'm doing it differently. But the problem is that the pump becomes bigger around than other dry sump pumps that use spur gears. So it won't fit under the car. It'll fit in the AC location. It will use less horsepower. It'll provide a more stable oil flow. It'll heat the oil less. It'll have all kinds of other things that are better than almost every other dry sump on the market. It'll also have a speed sensor on it, so you can plumb in a speed indicator to an ECU to put a fail-safe in. If your belt snaps, your oil pump speed drops, you will know that. It's got a bunch of stuff built into it that no dry sump pump that I'm aware of has. So it'll be really cool, but it needs the space. It's a bigger diameter pump, so it won't fit into the car. But for under the car, there are systems that go under the car already. I think was it Aviat or ARE? They have a low mount one too. Daily does as well. I like the Daily stuff. I don't like their drive method because it concerns me. But I like their hardware, and it's pretty nice. But again, spur gear oil pump. So, anyways, yeah, no AC with my dry sump. Oh, car-related question through text. Just ask it here. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's got new exhaust cams on it. You can do 2,000 RPM at 20? Straight header?
Well, it's not headed.
Is it downpipe?
Yeah, it doesn't have one.
Where is it?
It's full both ways. So I have just a 90 on it. It's just for now.
And what oil is it right
Just the starter one.
now? Okay. All right, so just keep in mind that I didn't buff those cams. So you got to be mindful of it, the break-in. And then when we're doing the break-in miles on it for the tune, we got to make sure they don't wipe. Do you have a funnel in the oil? We dump oil in the valve cover? We did on this side already because that's how you filled it. Okay.
I primed it last night.
Okay.
But I'm just,
I'm just everywhere the fucking cams because they, don't get oil. So this is the cam talk,
That's what you were talking about then. I'm like, I'm literally going to start this thing with cam.
Yeah. All right.
It's up to you. I'm just making sure everything can start.
What did we change on it?
Turbo and cams.
Turbo and the exhaust
He
cams.
needs the access
And it's a
point.
2.3 instead of a 2.5.
Yes.
Okay, and it's because it's tuned for a 2.5. Okay.
So it's up to you if you want to start to do that. We can roll it out, or
Yeah. What battery is that in the trunk?
it's just a shop them up.
It's a crap Optima.
Crack 'em up.
Okay. Yeah. Don't run it. This is the situation where Optimas fail. The fast charge after being dead is what kills them. We got to get the right charger on it. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's get that on there then, so that we don't smoke this battery and pop this fucker in the trunk. We'll put the right AGM charger on it, get it fully charged, and then go from there.
Okay.
Because that's the exact situation that'll smoke it, right?
In that case, then what I'll do is we'll hook that up and we'll push it out in front of the door, and then I'll let you
Okay.
take it from there.
Okay.
That way you can walk everything through too.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, let's go back. Track series a bad rep for drive shafts. Yeah, I'm unaware of that. PS2 needs a super drive shaft. Yes, they do. Legacy GT, yeah, it's a hard one to get drive shaft for. Legacies. Custom drive shaft shop, PS2 do says it's still aluminum. Yep. First time. Low amount benefit. Okay, so low amount benefit. Spool. The biggest one's spool. Much faster spool. That's really the biggest thing, right? If I have this gigantic turbo on it, I'll make a lot of horsepower up top. I need it to be as responsive as possible. Having the turbo close to the engine gives you significantly faster spool than the factory location does. So, what'd you do? Where?
One little drive.
It was already leaking when we pulled up. Where's it leaking from? The rack?
Yeah.
Oh, down in that one hose. They're bitch to
Did you
get
hear that little
sometimes.
cul-de-sac down there? Did you hear when I did the burnout the whole way down here?
All right, guys, and their toys, boys and their toys. How's it drive? Does it feel fast?
Yeah, it feels really fast. It feels really good. It's always fun beating up on someone else's quarterback because, like, there's times in mine where I'm like, man, I should let up before shit gets scary. But in Igor's, I'm like, let's keep going.
Well, Igor's like, blow it up. I'll build an engine for it.
Well, that's what he said. He said, go drag it. And I said, I'm going to probably wreck your blow it up, right?
My phone's at 6%, so I'm gonna speed this up really quick. EC, they won't break the bank. Link is the best one to get, Paul, without a freaking doubt. For a plug and play, WRX, ECU, Link is by far the best. Did it work? Am I back? Hey, I'm back. All right. I'll plug the phone in. Hopefully, it's enough juice that it'll stay running with the phone plugged in. How many I got here? Nine still. Dom, is going from single assist, dual assist worthwhile? No, I don't see a point in doing that. Dual AVCS, what does it get you? You can get a tiny bit of spool and a tiny fuel economy. That's what you can get out of it. That's it. You're not gonna get a bunch of power. Not get any power really out of it. I did a stream just a few weeks ago where I exhaust AVCS from 0 to 30 degrees and showed that there was zero effect on power. Now that's on a car that's near maxed out at zero effect because you're balancing exhaust blowdown, back pressure, and expansion coupling. And so typically if you're hauling ass on it, right, you're going to have a turbo that's maxed out. And it's not going to make a fucking difference. So I don't think it's worth the hassle at all. That the gains are so small. Horsepower wise, there's no gains. You can potentially get a little more spool. You can potentially get a little better fuel economy, but that's it. The exhaust cam has almost no effect to the way the engine runs, which is why I was so upset when I learned that the Chevy's Atlas engine had exhaust VVT and not intake VVT. What the fuck? Why? Like, that made no fucking sense. the intake cam has so much more effect on how the car runs over everything else. Like, there's nothing else you could do. There's nothing you can do with the exhaust cam to make it have 20% of the effect that the intake cam has. So I don't understand why they put VVT on the exhaust and not on the intake. I was just so bummed out because I was thinking, fuck yeah, I'll do an Atlas inline 6. I'll grab another C5. I'll do an inline 6 Atlas and a fucking C5 with a gigantic turbo the size of my brain, you know, on one side of it. Maybe 2 of them lined up. It'd be fucking sweet. I almost put a Barra turbo in my vet, actually. That was something that I almost did. I really wanted to piss people off because I like to do that sometimes. And so I actually had a Barra turbo on a pallet ready to ship out to me from Australia or New Zealand. And I had him weigh it and give me some dims, and it weighed just as much as an LS did, and it was taller. And I was like, well, that's not going to work out very well. And then I had to, you know, adapt the torque tube and shit to the engine and all that stuff. But then I saw the Atlas, and I was like, we should do that. But I was like, I want an engine with VVT, because VVT on the intake is fucking awesome. And yeah, the Atlas is VVT on the exhaust. I don't know what the fuck that they were thinking with that. That's just weird. That's some weird GM shit. I don't understand. So if Paul 04WX, absolutely, man. Link is the best one. Bang for buck, there isn't a system better than the Link. Like, plain and simple. With tech support, quality, the components, the programming, the available map that you have with the Link, it's far superior to anything else you get within another $500-600 of it easily. So definitely the Link. If I can turn the windows down in my car a little bit, it's hot as a bitch in here. I plug the phone in. Now it's hot. What was the other question? I saw another question there. The low mount. So with a low mount, with any turbo setup, right? The volume between the turbo and the engine is important. The more volume, the more lag. The more volume, the lower the strength of the pulses coming out of the exhaust and imparting energy on the turbine blades. The lower the volume, the better. That's why a lot of these engines nowadays don't even have headers. They don't have a manifold. The turbo bolts right to the head. Right? They've eliminated the volume to increase responsiveness of the system. Now, that being said, power-wise, there are gains to be had by having a balanced system on the car. So, like, some companies will mill a head down and put a header between it and turbocharger on, like, the EcoBoost, for example. But this car is going to have a header on it. It's got ports and a header, and the turbo is going to be, you know, closest to the engine as possible. That will give a significant improvement in spool. That's not even a horsepower thing, because horsepower-wise, it ain't gonna make a fucking difference. To be honest with you, it's not gonna really matter. Being super close to the engine when it comes to top-end horsepower, it's not gonna have a significant effect on it at all. Having the turbo really close, it's most important for response. And in any car, especially when you go really big on the turbo, I want response. I want it to have a mid-range, not just be a horsepower curve that goes, boop, you know. I don't want that. It can help a little bit of power, right? Like, it'll give way more benefit in spool than it will give in gains in power. That's a little bit of that compromise thing that I was telling you about, right? There's no free lunch. This is one of those things where there is, you know, free lunch. There isn't a horsepower versus torque compromise by bringing the turbo closer to the engine until you get rid of the primaries. And you get rid of primaries, then you have impacts on it. But as far as but then the other compromise would be fitment and that kind of stuff. But as far as just being better for overall system performance, the closest to the engine, the better it's gonna go. Watch them push this RS here. You can do it. All right, I think that's all the questions that I have that I didn't answer. Let's see. Yep, looks like I answered all the questions that we had. So if you got any other questions, feel free to stop at the Discord channel, post in there. General stuff, basic stuff like you guys asked here in the stream, I'll help out with. If it gets too technical or falls under too deep into something that's one of my lessons, then I'll tell you that it's going to be a lesson thing. But overall, you can come in Discord and shoot the shit and talk to the other guys that are there. Swap some memes around, stories, builds, parts. I got a channel where I display all the stuff that I design. And so you may get sneak peeks to things that I'm doing, as well as more in-depth pictures. The models that I put up there, I have in progress stuff like as I'm designing it. You can see the pictures I post, things like that. So it's a way to be close to the action and be witness to more of the R&D process, as well as just be able to shoot the shit with like-minded people, and be able to ask me questions about stuff if you have any questions. So feel free to stop by Discord, shoot me an email too if you'd like. Discord and email are the best ways to get a hold of me over anything else. Discord, you get on your phone, you can get on a computer. You can do all sorts of things. Also, that's stupid. I don't fun saying it. Let me back it up. It's an app. It's an application program for your phone or computer. It's a communication platform with audio and voice, audio, as well as text. You can share your screen, like I can do live streams like this with the program. I can link whatever I want. I can. There's threads. There's sections. I divide up as an educational section. So if you pay the subscription, you can get into the lesson modules and stuff. I need to update some now. I haven't done a module in a little while, so I definitely got to do that for the guys that want. But I've been getting a lot of questions, so it's like the learning doesn't ever stop. I just don't have another module assembled yet for the lessons that I need to do. I don't think it's a factory hood. So yeah, it's just an application. You can choose the text on it. You can choose to talk to people if people are in voice channels. You can share screens. You can have a camera feed as well as share a screen. You can have it just capture another app if you're on your PC. You can stream just a game or I'll frequently stream SolidWorks. I'll just be in channel and randomly stream SolidWorks while I'm designing something, and shoot the shit people while I'm doing it, or not even say a word and just share my stream so you can see how I'm assembling something, whether I'm extruding or cutting or doing mates or whatever, learn how SolidWorks functions. You can get that too just by watching me do it. So and that's totally cool. Yeah, that's it. I think that's all I got today. Any other questions popped up that I missed? Retrofitting a dry sump to Easy 30. I don't know. I have to see how much room there is in front of the manifold, the intake manifold, where the AC fits. If there's enough room, maybe. Problem with the Easy 30 is it's a single serpentine belt, and I don't plan on having my dry sump go off a serpentine belt. I would want it to be on a timed cog belt. So it would require a different pulley, and it would put more distance in front of the pulley. And frequently the EZs and swaps and that kind of stuff don't have room for another inch in front of the pulley, much less have room for that and then a belt coming off it. Not usually a lot of room. If I did do one that ran off the serpentine belt, then it would have to be a system that fed the factory oil pump, or we did not delete the factory oil pump or bypass the oil pump. It would just be primarily scavenge from the engine to the sump, and then a a feed from the sump to the factory pump, but for that to work, it has to be sized about the same as the factory EZ30 oil pump, and I would have to figure out the dimensions of the EZ pump, how fast it spins in relation to crank speed, and all that. The early EZ30 is on the crank just like the EJ, so it matches speed, but the 36 is chain driven, and I don't know if it's overdriven or underdriven or what, so we have to find that out before I could just randomly throw a pump on there and be like, hope it works. Because if I put a pump that's larger than the one feeding the engine, you're going to have huge issues with pressure between the two of them, because they're positive displacement pumps. They're not centrifugal pumps. So a positive displacement pump will not be happy if you try and throttle the outlet of it like that. So that would be probably hose blowing offage, and nobody wants that. So I would say that the chances are slim. I don't see there being much use. The market is not there for it at all. Every EZ30 swap car in the U.S. bought one, it still wouldn't be enough to cover the tooling costs. So it's not very likely to happen by me. Now, a hobbyist that wanted to do it could do it. Obviously, you'd be paying for yourself, your own CNC or manual lathe time or whatever, but it would not be worth my time at all. That'd be time wasted, really. Way too much time to go into it to get nothing out of it. Yeah, like my cams, for example, like I lose $200 a set on my cams. So I'm not looking to do that with a dry sump too, something that doesn't even sell very much at all. Would be an idea. Would be a good one. So short answer is no, unless you do it yourself, figure a way of doing it yourself. Yeah, because then you gotta do the pan and everything else too. That's a complete redesign. So it wouldn't even be a retrofit; it'd be a complete redesign. So yeah, I guess the answer is no. All right, well, that's it, guys. I'm gonna go and work on the gray RS, the silver RS. That used to be ours at MPS. We built that one. It was I found that in a warehouse under an inch of dust in Tacoma, and then we went and got it. It had like hardly any miles on it, like 20,000 or 18,000 miles or something like that. It was super clean. And then Craig and I got it, and we built it for Craig, and then he sold it, and I closed MPS. It's kind of like the order of events. It went to a guy who bought it, and then within 3 days, he was like, "Oh, this is way too much car for me." There's some old dude. I kept telling him not to buy it, but he kept insisting that it was a good car and he wanted it. And he was like, "Oh, it smells like fuel when I park it in the garage." I'm like, "Yeah, dude. There's an incomplete evap system on a 500 horsepower engine in there. Like, it's gonna do that." "Oh, well, this is the wrong car for me." I'm like, "Yeah, I told you that $24,000 ago, man." Like, I told him that he wanted the car, but he insisted he did. So then he sold it to another guy in Montana who's driven it a bunch. That's been a good amount of miles on it. Definitely has some love on it. It's definitely got some wear, and the typical damage you'd see from a car that's daily driven all the time in Montana. And then the engine took a shit after 8 years. They spun a bearing. So we did a 2.3 in it, and a new GTX 3071 Gen 2 in it on the 2.3 to keep it nice and responsive. I mean, they'll still make a good amount of power. Should be a really nice setup. Be a lot of fun. So, but I hear he says he's selling it. I was confused by that. He went through and did this whole build and then wanted to sell it. So I don't know. Maybe it will be for sale soon. Maybe I'll buy it. Maybe he will. Like it so much when he gets it back, he won't sell it. I don't know the answer to that, but it's a pretty freaking clean RS still. I'm gonna go work on that a little bit, and then I'm gonna go home and cry. And then I'll probably do the clutch on my Corvette because that needs to be fixed. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. Thanks again.